So no sooner that we post the videos on what the A7C Mark II would be, and quick update, the date for these cameras supposedly, allegedly coming out is going to be August 29th, which just so happens to be my birthday. And so I am so pumped about that. Thank you, Sony. I'm glad you're releasing some cameras on my birthday. I know you just did this just for me. But in addition to them releasing, not only us getting the two models, the A7C Mark II and the A7C R. So it's not technically a Mark II, it's just released with this second iteration of the A7C, if that makes sense. But here are the updated specs that are supposed to release with the A7C, just should be considered the base model for the Mark II at least. We're getting the same latest and greatest autofocus of the A7R Mark V, the freaking names. 5-axis stabilization. Put a little asterisk here because we need to come back around to that in just a second. 10 frames per second for the photo side of things, which is similar to what we have on the A6700, if I'm not mistaken. The same LCD screen of the A7 IV, asterisk next to this one. We're also getting 4K 60p, and there's no notifications if this has a crop or not. And another asterisk next to this one. Auto reframing like the ZVE1, a 2.36 million dot viewfinder, and one SD card slot, which is consistent with that type of body design. Now for the A7C R, being released with the 2, but it's not necessarily a Mark II its own. Still getting the great autofocus of the latest and greatest cameras. We get the IBIS of the A7R Mark V, which is different than what they just said for the A7C Mark II. That one just said 5-axis stabilization, which leads me to think, just quick pause here, just leads me to think that this is going to be different. I don't know if it's going to be worse, but it is probably going to be different, which I feel like in the R, it may have a higher price tag. It may be different in some way, but I'll expound on that maybe a little bit later. This is also getting 10 frames per second, but the screen is changing. It says 4D. I don't know what that means, but a fully articulating screen is like we have seen with the ZVE1, E10, and on. But I think this is the one that's going to tilt out and it will be fully articulating, which I think for that reason alone, a lot of people will want to get this camera because that is the top of the line type design. Personally, when Panasonic did this with the S1H camera, everybody went berserk. The fact that Sony now has a variation of that, bees knees Hall of Fame. I would love to see this on even more cameras. We're getting 4K 60 10-bit 422, the 2.36 million dot viewfinder, and still one SD card slot, again, which is consistent with the body design. Now, here's my big thoughts on the comparisons and why we may see a price difference between the two. What's that you say, Steve? Sony Alpha Rumors has released a price update for the rumor. They care nothing about our feelings or that we already had the video done and now we have to add in this new segment. Well, let's get into these new latest rumors, the details that are coming out now, and it is in the midnight hour, so let's get to it. So this is apparently coming from a camera store in the EU, and they're saying that the A7C Mark II is going for about $2,700 Euro or roughly $2,500 in the US. Let me take this out of my ear because that is weird sounding. Then for the A7C R, it's supposed to be $3,600 Euro or just 3,600 Euro. I'm not sure. Shouldn't be dollars on there probably. Whatever.
What? That's in yen, right?
But it'll be $3,400 in the US.
Dollars? Oh!
Now this is much higher. Usually when I'm doing like price guesstimates, it's like what we want the price to be with a little bit of wiggle room of what we can probably expect for it to be potentially wrong. And it's like, here's what we would want to pay for a camera like that. But that doesn't mean that that's where the camera prices are actually going to be, depending on the market profits and all this extra other stuff and what they need for this to logically make sense to release a camera like that. But $2,400 and $3,400? Here's the thing I'm also thinking about now with this price, because we knew that it was getting, again, no allegedly, based on rumors, that this is supposed to have the fully articulating screen with the tilt axis as well, or not really axis, but the tilt action. That's just like the A7R Mark V. Is it really that much of a premium for a hinge? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just like, yeah, we like it, but do you like it that much? Now, here's the thing. Some people's work actually warrants them to get something like that. And it makes sense for their work because one job or a portion of one job or a gig or a shoot pays for that camera already. So it's kind of like whatever. Or they may be trading in to trade up and get something better. I did that with my cameras. I got rid of my APS-C stuff, and I went ahead and got everything that I would need to start the road of full frame. That's just my personal thing because I know I don't want to deal with the back and forth. The menu's a little different. Some people don't care, but I do. And it just becomes annoying, honestly. But $2,500 for the base model seems to be about right, because if you'll pay that for the A7 IV and it's not all that you would want it to be per se, like it wasn't, like a lot of people complained about it, but still a lot of people bought it. I think it'd probably be the same thing with this one. A lot of people will be like, fine, whatever. I'd rather get this and maybe a few other things, but it's only 10 frames per second, again, according to the rumors. And to my remembrance, I don't think that's better than the A7 IV. So I guess it depends on what you're doing or how you're using this camera, or potentially going to. The other thing that's been a concern is, are these cameras now starting to get too heavy? It's not compact, it's not as lightweight, but for all the features that everybody's been asking for, it will make the camera heavier. So it kind of becomes like, is this kind of now pointless or not so much? But I think the A7C Mark II will be fine. Because even once it hits the used market and you find it for a few $100s cheaper, let's say you get it $300 or $400, now it's in that price range that you would prefer to probably spend. And I think that's what quite a few people will probably do as well, because there's always people that buy it, make the video, oh, the camera overheats or whatever, which is another question of what's the issue potentially with the camera, or do they have fans? Is it no issue with that, even if it's for photography or whatever, just to dissipate the heat so it's not an issue? We just got a lot of unanswered questions now based on this, because I don't know. This is a weird situation, but that's all we're going to do for the breaking news. I want to get back to the regular video. That's the past me. Thank you for this late night news report. Back to you, Diana. But that's where I'm gonna leave it for this video. If you haven't gotten in for the giveaway, links down below. We're doing this live to give away all the stuff I've talked about in previous videos, but let me know what your thoughts are down below. And with that, guys, remember, create, post, repeat, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.